Hello, everyone. This is your host, Arrow, and once again, we are joined by none other than Sagun and Franz. In today's episode, we are going to explore the most intelligent computer that nobody even thinks about, and that is our mind. Have you ever wondered about your brain and thought, how does it work? What is more surprising is that even neuroscientists cannot explain or fully understand the brain. It is arguably one of the most important organs in our body, and without it, we cannot function. Today, Lunar Nation Trio would like to explore the potential of our brain power and, most importantly, illuminate knowledge that even us as a group did not know. So, let me start by saying that our brain consists over 86 billion neurons all packed together, pretty much the size of like one fifth of a soccer ball. And if you ask me what is a neuron, basically it's a information messenger. And I know Franz, you love the brain just like everybody else, but you would you like to share some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. So now this isn't like full statistics, but basically, the scientists or experts say that our subconscious minds controls anywhere from 90 to 90% of our lives. Again, it's not like hard cold fact because we don't know. We pretty much don't know the brain. It's just like the ocean, how we know like 5% of the ocean, we know we're still doing research on the brain, so there's still a lot to learn. But anyways, so our subconscious mind pretty much controls, like I said, anywhere from 90 to 90% of our lives. The other 5-10% is our conscious mind. So the subconscious mind is pretty much a data bank for everything, which is not your conscious mind. It stores your beliefs, your previous experience, your memories, your skills, and everything that you've seen, done, or thought of is also there. Is basically like kind of like a guidance system. Everything that you've experienced throughout your life, and it's very active. Especially, not a lot of people know how. Why is it that babies can learn so much and whatnot? Because ever since the day you're born, especially from 0 to 6, you're like a sponge. You're able to take in all this vast information. That's why kids are able to learn language a lot faster and be more understanding of it. So it's pretty interesting of what the subconscious mind can do, and what it can store.
Yeah, for sure. Really, really interesting. Our mind. You know what's interesting is that we never take a break and try to understand our mind. We never like really look. So when you like wake up, you see your body. You're like, oh, am I in shape? But then you don't think about like, oh, is my mind healthy right now? What's going on in my mind? Like, am I thinking clearly? Am I stressed? Do I have anxiety or any of those following? I highly like don't think people think about that. But to add on to the mind, so here's a cool and fun fact. If you were to put a neuroscientist at work and you tell him, hey, or him or her, be like, hey, can you ravel the mystery of the brain? It will literally take one neuroscientist 10 million years to fully dissect the brain and decode just one brain. One brain. So it just goes to show that we don't know enough about ourselves, more specifically our mind and its capabilities. And we're just more interested to explore what we don't know and more importantly what we know and how we prevent um, things like Alzheimer's, dementia, being stressed, anxiety, depression. Really important topics that nobody really talks about.
So yeah, that is correct, Arrow. I just want to add that for the subconscious mind as well, it is basically anything that you don't really think of. Certainly, you guys didn't mention about like like body temperature, heartbeat, breathing. Isn't that like so interesting? To the point that you're just continuing your day to day task, and while you're continuing your day to day task, it's like a sub process that's inside you that is doing all these actions for you, so you don't really have to focus. Maybe sometimes you do when you're saying like, oh, like when you're running, right? You're like, oh, my heart is beating so fast, right? I mean, you kind of notice, but it's like you really don't have a control of it, right? Because there's something inside your brain, the logic. I treat it like a computer program that basically controls and says, at this moment you have to do this, at this moment you have to do that, so it's very, very interesting and fascinating in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure, Sagun. So here's another thing that I think everybody does on a daily basis, but nobody does it to this other extent, which is basically when you wake up, you brush your teeth, you take care of your hair, you clean your room, you organize your paperwork and everything, so on, so and so. But then here's a question: do you organize your mind? Like, do you clean out all the, I would say, like all the bad memories you have, or is it
No.
really hard? You know what I mean? You're right. No, we don't. So here's a question: our mind is a supercomputer, and why do we not do this? Are we trained from an early age to not think about it, or is it just habit that we got used to by our parents?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. So I think that everyone, and I'm a victim of this too. When you wake up, you're really thinking. You're really thinking about, oh, you got to plan out your day. What's on the agenda today? So when you're waking up, for the most part, people, what they do is like you said, Arrow, you brush your teeth, you have breakfast, plan out your day, you go about it. But really, you got to look at the brain as just how like you clean your house or your office or your car, any personal item or space. You got to think of your subconscious mind and your brain the same way. You have to clear it out. And a great way of doing that is actually by meditating or meditation. So not a lot of people, like I said, not a lot of people do this because they have a busy, hectic life. They're thinking about picking up their kids from dropping off their kids at school, picking them up, yada yada. There's things to do. You got to go to work. You got to make money, which is totally understandable. But I wanted to ask Arrow and Sagun and see what the perspective is on meditation, because I know that a lot of people in like the eastern hemisphere of the world are big on meditation, but there's also actually a lot of people like CEOs, actors, actresses, even athletes that even meditate once a day or twice a day just to help clear their minds and look at where they're at in their life. They're successful. They're highly competitive and whatnot. So they're very successful. So I wanted to see Arrow and Sagun's opinion on the fact of meditation, how it can benefit your mind.
Yeah, so I can speak on this with a personal experience. So a while back, I actually attended this session called Inner Engineering. It was led by this yogi named Sadhguru. And a while back, when I attended this event, the point was to meditate, and absolutely, like, when you meditate, is to think absolutely of nothing. And when you think of nothing, your focus is more of like on your breathing. But what I experienced in that moment is I realized that we tend to think a lot of unnecessary thoughts that give us anxiety or stress. And if you think about it, stress is really not good for you. Like I said in the past episode, if your body's in stress, then your body's not at ease, therefore you create disease. So being able to meditate and clear out all the junk from your mind, basically you could say like a floppy disk mind, you clean it out and start fresh. I think it's a really good skill to have. And more importantly, if hypothetically most of the audience meditated, we wouldn't necessarily see all these diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia to this greater extent.
I
Sagun?
just want to say, in the morning, if you just say this one word, I think it'll help you, reduce your stress or anxiety. I say this in the morning. I say om. If you say that, it actually helps reduce your stress, your anxiety. Just in the morning, right when you wake up, you just, get in your pose, and then once you say that word, it has that kind of feeling inside your body where it gives you that positive vibes and energy, and it reduces your stress and anxiety. And it's worked for me, and I think it'll work for everyone. So I highly recommend it. Takes 5 minutes.
Is there a historical connection to the word Om that
Oh
they?
yeah, for sure.
So can you
The
can you go?
Sanskrit, the
So so
Sanskrit, it
so
comes from,
Sanskrit.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I
it
know.
comes from. Oh,
So
go ahead,
sorry,
go ahead.
I know Sanskrit is like over 10,000 years old. It predates the modern language of Hinduism right now. But to be more specific, why do you think at that moment of time people had this mentality of like Om and meditation, and what happened over the years, and how do we lose track of that those knowledge?
No, I just think it's just because of just the religion itself, right? People like all the priests, and it's also written within the scriptures as well. So just meditating this Om basically means the word that we speak, the things that we use, and it's in ourselves. So it's basically like it's just something that's like it overlaps. I don't know how to like fully describe it, but it's like everywhere. Om is basically everywhere, and Om, just by saying this itself, it just gives this kind of like relaxation. It gives us power, and that's why I believe people are just like starting to say it. And since it's written in the book, I also had like a necklace as well that said Om as well. So it's just been carried out through generations to generations.
Just to like answer Arrow's question, this is my theory. Um, this is my theory, but I don't know if it could be true or not. This is just the way I'm thinking. But I think that back then, talking about how you said, thousands of years ago, I think people, what was it back then? People were the stage of life. What was it? Hunter and gatherer. They were hunting and gathering for food. So I feel like during that time that there was only so much people could do in a day, and they were probably able to tap into their subconscious mind or able to think more freely and whatnot. So they were able to, to maybe learn more about it, even though they didn't really know what was going on. Just in a sense to speak about it. But I think as time progressed and technology evolved and people started to creating bigger societies, you had monarchies, empires created and whatnot. People were focused on architecture, making big buildings, creating like a government and whatnot. So people start to get, busy, and it seems like their mind, in my opinion, probably got congested. And as I said earlier, you got to, just how you clean your house and whatnot, you got to, clean your mind. So I think that, people probably lost their way through that over time. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
that's what occurred. I'm just thinking it probably had some sort of, play into that as, humankind started to evolve, technology started getting better. They started to rely more on technology and whatnot.
exactly. I mean, it's kind of decreasing, right? But I still feel like where Om like traditionally was, originated like India, I think people still do it because of the fact that it's just religiously it has such a huge meaning and such a huge impact that people do it. But I do agree with you, Franz, that just due to all this technology, maybe the younger generation is kind of, maybe stop like the meditation and all that compared to the
Yeah,
older
it's
folks.
it's not even that. It's just the fact that it's not something that happened within this year or this decade or whatnot. This is something that's probably that's occurred within hundreds and thousands of years. I mean, looking back at just like 2,000 years ago during the Roman Empire, I mean, everyone was just busy trying to build this big empire, expand and whatnot. Like I said, this is just an example, and people probably lost their ways of clearing their minds and whatnot. Again, that's just my opinion.
So check this out, guys. Did you know that millennials report the highest average stress level between all the generations overall, all the different generations?
No, I'm
And,
not surprised
and
because of social media.
yeah, yeah, social media, phones, and I know I did look into like phones and computers. So apparently, if you like too much screen time, can lead to obesity, sleep problems, chronic neck and back problems, depression, anxiety. So there's a connection there, guys. I know, Franz, you mentioned about the subconscious mind. So, to give a little background to the audience, the subconscious mind is a very powerful force to be reckoned with because it makes 95% of the brain power, and it pretty much handles everything your body needs to function properly, which is basically eating, to breathing, to digesting, and obviously, most importantly, making memories. Because we all know if you don't have any memories and you're not able to remember, I don't know if if your mind of you're even there. I mean, maybe your body is alive but your brain dead. So I mean, I would not want to be in that
You're
situation.
basically a vegetable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're a vegetable. I mean, I don't. I would not want to be in that situation. So I hopefully, knock on wood, we're not gonna face those issues. But to so here's a thing about the human mind. So human mind, as I mentioned, is very complex. It is actually the most complex structure known in the universe. So get that, in the universe. And what I think that people need to focus on is about mindfulness, our health and our mind. How do we think? Because the way you think, pretty much everything is interconnected. And obviously, we know like we think 70,000 thoughts a day. If we're able to meditate and able to clean out those memories, those thoughts, we'll be able to concisely think of proper thoughts that can give us a greater impact than just random nonsense. And that's something like you mentioned, Sagun, which is social media. And Franz, you might have something to add on to that.
Right, for sure. So I want to hear your guys' opinion on it, on especially the mind and meditation. But majority of people actually have. So I know Arrow mentioned we have like anywhere from like 60 to 70 thoughts in a day. I don't know the correct number, but
70,000.
yeah, 70,000. I'm sorry. So actually,
That's a little less, 60 thoughts. Imagine that.
yeah, that was my apologies. I messed up that number. I stuttered on that. But according to some experts, that majority of people actually, I think it's like 60 to 70% of those thoughts that we have in a day are actually negative thoughts. Okay. So now, what some are saying is that by meditating, this form of kind of quote unquote medication would be able to help this. So like right now, in your life, the sum total of your life, whether you're 30, what I'm trying to say is right now you're the sum total of your life. So 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years, wherever you're in your life, it took that long to create you and where you are now. And it's going to take several years to undo some of the negative attributes that you've created over time. I know they say that it takes like whatever it is, 21 days or 30 days to, create a habit or whatnot. But there's some negative attributes that we've created, over time throughout years that, it's going to take a while for us to, break down. And don't think of it as meditation being an instant gratification. Okay, it's not like yoga or going to the gym and you're working out for an hour and you come out feeling great and whatnot. You feel energized. Meditation, you got to think of it as like having a healthy diet. Just because you eat a bowl of salad today, it might not make you feel good at the moment, or it might make you feel a little bit full or whatnot. But if you eat healthy for the coming weeks and several months, you might start to feel different. So meditation is the same way. The reward comes much later in the practice. It's not now, and I think that's what kind of like stems people away from it, because I know a lot of the younger generation and people right now, they crave for that instant gratification. I mean, you see those get rich quick schemes. People want to see results right away, but it's not right away. People want to see it in their face, but sometimes, like I said, when you're eating a salad or a fruit bowl, whatever it is, you gotta maintain that healthy diet, and you're gonna see results in the long run. And meditation is similar to that way.
Yeah. Also, just for that instant gratification, right? I mean, you see all your friends, it's in the weekend, hanging out, chilling, let's say you're like, why am I even doing this, right? Why am I even in the like struggling, working hard? Let's say gym, workout. That's the prime example, right? You see your friends having fun at the beach, going on vacations and stuff, right? They're not really working out. But then you're thinking to yourself like, "Oh, why do I have to work out? They're having fun, but I'm not having fun." So that's the kind of instant gratification that people have, right? But the reality is, let's say you put your grind in, 5, 6 times a day, not a day, sorry, a week, and you go in gym, it's that hard run, it's that build up of all the, muscle lifting and everything, right? That'll make you successful compared to all this, this instantaneous success, that people crave. And I also blame social media for that. So it's something that's not what I like. Something
Yeah,
like
our
that.
generation is the social media people, and I don't know. God knows what the next generations
Oh, it's gonna
after
be
us.
like VR. I don't know what they're gonna do. They're gonna meet people in person. They're probably gonna want a burger generated from like I don't know out of nowhere or like teleport to another
You're
vacation. I
talking
don't
about
know.
like Back to the Future kind of thing, where they put like I don't know paper inside a microwave and it turns to a burger.
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean, it's crazy. I mean, right now it sounds stupid, but in the future, who knows, right? Like
Yeah.
anything can happen. Like I mean, they were saying we're gonna have flying cars. I mean, we don't have that yet, but who knows, right? In the future, like just these implications that we're doing all these technologies, right? That we're creating, I think it could be a possibility. So
Mm. Yeah, for
it's just
sure.
yeah.
So check this out, Sagun. So if we meditate, we improve our IQ levels, we lower our stress levels, and
Oh yeah.
it pretty much promotes higher learning ability.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
For sure.
like it's crazy to me to think that when we have a casual conversation with somebody else, right? Usually when we go to I don't know, a gathering, what do we mostly talk about? Oh, did you watch that movie? Oh, I love that dress of yours, or so and so and so and so.
Did
But
you
then
watch
we
that
never,
game?
yeah,
Like
we never talk about the most important things that I think, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, that we should talk about. Like, hey, how's
yeah.
your mental health? Like, how are
Oh
you
yeah. Yeah.
doing?
For sure.
How's your stress level going? What's going on, man? Have you tried meditating, or who do you surround yourself with? What do you do on a daily basis? What
Yeah.
kind of habits have you structured your life with? Are there in relations to like your job, as far as like you're looking at the screen too much, maybe you're getting stressed, maybe the job's not right for you? Yeah, sure, given the fact that you might be a really good employee for your boss, but at the end of the day your boss is just looking for their own agenda. They don't really care about you. You're just a commodity. I mean, at the
Yeah,
end of the
they
day
just
your
pay
boss.
you. They just pay you,
Yeah,
so it's
so the real question is, do people truly understand themselves? Do they prioritize themselves, or do they talk about, like what we said, 70,000 thoughts? And like Franz mentioned earlier, 60% of them are negative. Do they talk about something negative and just waste their day?
yeah, I just think it's just a reality, it's all I don't wanna mention social media again. It is social media. They're just doing things that they think that, will make other people happy instead of themselves happy. They
Yeah.
wanna be portrayed as this person who has a lot of money, cars, nice health and everything, right? But in reality, they probably don't. There was this actual I don't know if you've seen this, Arrow, but there was this, post that I saw where it was, like, an apple. The apple on the front side was like full, but at the back it was like eaten, right? But people like based off the angle that they were looking at, they didn't really see that eaten side of the apple. That's kind of what I think social media is, and just a reality, just how our mind works with it and interacts with it. I think it just depends on who you follow as well. It might just bring negativity to your life. So just because so many young adults are just going into this
Mm.
and pretending to be someone who they're not,
Yeah.
I find that concerning.
Yeah, for sure. And like all these young adults, I mean, millennials, let's say for our generation, we spend most of our time on social media. But let's get back to the mind. So one day we're going to get, I don't know, 50, 60, 70. How many of us are going to get Alzheimer's? How many of us are going to get depressed? How many of us are going to get anxiety? How many of us is going to be truly unhappy with our life because of the decisions we made at earlier, as like right now, and that affected us in the future, right? Because what's interesting is I, I feel like people don't really understand their mind, because if you think about it, your subconscious mind, like Franz mentioned earlier,
Yeah,
records everything. It's always alert, it's always awake, it's controls 95% of our lives. It's
exactly.
basically created by habit. It speaks to your dream, like we spoke about earlier about the dream episode. It literally has no language. It's more of like your imagination's language. It
Yeah,
takes it can do a trillion things. I mean, not even trillion, God knows, maybe even more. It's like
but it's the potential. It's the potential. Like
and,
we don't
and,
even know yet,
and
right?
you know
It's
what's
the unknown.
crazy? It's 1 million times more powerful than the conscious mind. And the conscious mind is the mind that we go out in these like little gatherings and talk about. Oh, did you see that dog hit the wall? I mean, where is that gonna
Tend to
impact
laugh
you?
about it, you know. So I know what you're talking about, Era. I think you do bring a good point. It's just I really want to, like, if there is a way that we could go into like a deep exploration. I know meditation is one good way, right? To try to see if we can, connect it. I wish there was a, like, there's some kind of way we could explore our full potential,
You
right?
know,
So like,
yeah, like there was a person I think you saw it earlier where they actually healed themselves with
oh
the
yeah,
power of
yeah,
their
yeah.
subconscious mind.
Yep.
Franz, jump in at any moment. Talk about that.
Yeah, so it's not just meditation that can help with clearing up the mind and whatnot, but they're saying that according to psychotherapists, they're saying that hypnosis would be actually some sort of medication or a healing tool to help clear up your mind, because how the way they explained it, and again, I'm no professional, but just trying to like break it down is, the saying, because the mind controls a lot of part of the body, and then we go through the subconscious takes all this info, even though you might not remember it, the subconscious has all these memories that you have from the past ever since you were born. However, you know we're not living in a we're not living in a utopia, perfect utopia. There's going to be ups, downs, bads, goods, and whatnot. So some people suffer from trauma, and these past traumas can cause, can lead to some of these, they're saying illnesses and diseases, and or even things such as like some things that are like, depression or anxiety and whatnot. And what actually what is actually proven for sure is that stress, which everyone experiences some sort of stress in their life, whether it's on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, or whatever it might be, stress causes inflammation to the body. And if you guys actually look it up, inflammation is pretty much a major symptoms in many of these diseases and illnesses. Now, what the psychotherapist was talking about and what she ran experiments on was that hypnosis helps the brain cope with past traumas in the present to relive that pain. Now, what it's saying is like you're not going back in time, because you can't go back in time and change that negative experience into a positive one, but basically you're diving deep into your subconscious mind to relive that negative trauma and to cope with it, to find like a solution. So then your brain will start working properly again. You're not having that inflammation. It's not causing any some sort of mental issues for you down the road. Because to give an example, when a cat sees a mouse, I'm sorry, when a mouse sees a cat, it has that fight or flight moment, and it's obviously going to run away. But then after it's ran away, its stress levels goes down. But for us humans, we carry those memories onto us, and we're still living in that stress moment, even though we're not thinking about it. There could be some trigger moments down the future that causes issue, and then we don't know where it comes from and whatnot. And some doctors are saying, oh, just take these pills, whatever, blah blah blah. Again, it's not proven science, but there are people that have run some experiments on it and have had some good results. So it's very interesting the way that they were talking about it and explaining it. They were diving really in depth with it and whatnot. But it was very interesting to see that they were saying that hypnosis could help with your trauma that ends up leading to stress or PTSD, anxiety and whatnot. So it was very interesting to see and learn more about that.
Yeah, so for the audience that don't know of who's Franz is talking about, he is talking about specifically by a person named Dana. Forgive me for spelling for pronouncing her last name, Picher, Pycher, and she goes really well in detail about all of that experiment. But so what I want to also add, Franz, is like the ability of the mind healing the body is really crazy. And more importantly, like it's even more crazy that we as individuals don't really sit down and think about our potentials, because I feel like we have a lot of potentials. And more importantly, like you know how you mentioned um earlier about the mind being diluted, I believe you use specific words, forgive me for saying it, but those are like those are basically what's gonna cause the mind to get not Alzheimer's, but the other dementia. Dementia is actually a side effect of just like all this collusion of the mind. And I think we really need to take care of our mind, because at the end of the day, our mind is the motherboard, or some people could say the gut is, but they're both related. But it's really, really crazy to know that just based on facts, earlier I discovered that about what, like 10% of like 10% of the US population face anxiety disorders, and 10% face depression.
I'm sorry. I think it's actually 10% phase depression, some sort of
Oh
depression,
yeah,
Yeah,
20%,
and then
20%.
20%
and
is
then
Yeah,
what was it?
20.
20% face anxiety, some sort of
exactly.
Yeah,
anxiety.
and then 75% face some sort of stress,
Yeah,
minor or
exactly.
significant. It's just crazy how
Yeah.
we as individuals or as humans, when we first interact, we never prioritize this. What we always talk about is our greed of interest or what we relate, and sometimes those are not really as important, because at the end of the day, you talking about a Ferrari. I mean, the Ferrari is just equipment, but you should be more talking about more better things, in my opinion, which is like your mind, your health, your body, because those are the vessels that's going to carry you for the rest of your life.
To be honest, I mean, we can say this, but I still feel like it's just the culture that we live in, right? I still don't think people are still going to talk about that Ferrari. It's just how we're set up. People are on social medias all day. They're scrolling, they see a Ferrari. They're not going to be like, "Oh, let me think about my brain." I mean, who thinks about their brain? I mean, even Arrow or Franz, Like, no, we don't really like we don't wake up and we think, "Oh, you know what? How's my brain feeling today?" You know? Like what am I doing, Like how can I improve my brain? All that stuff. No, we don't think about that stuff because it's just not how our society taught us. So it's just I feel like, I mean, we should totally encourage it. I do that, but it's also based off your willpower. If you really want to do it, you will do it. Otherwise, no matter how many times we do this podcast, and like if we do any like motivation, everything, you're not like some people are just not going to do it because they just don't have that within them. So you
Yeah,
have to motivate yourself
we gotta meditate. We like, I
and
think that's
and meditate as well. Yep.
number one rule. We gotta meditate, guys. Listen, everybody, we're all young, but one day we're gonna get old. We're gonna face consequences if we don't take care of ourselves right now.
Unless
So
you're
please,
immortal, but that's
tomorrow, yeah, please listen to the episode. It was really interesting, very
yep.
cool. But Franz, any last thoughts?
Yeah, in no way, shape, or form are we saying that like 100%. I mean, this is our opinion. This is from what we've learned and whatnot. And even other experts say there's no proven fact that meditation or hypnosis is going to help cure anything or whatnot. But then again, there's we have medications that don't really cure anything as well. They just they act as a band aid. So we're just saying, and we're looking at diving deep into seeing that how Arrow mentioned that 75% of Americans experience some sort of some type of minor or major stress. There's depression, anxiety, and it's these things that maybe start at an earlier mid age throughout your life that will cause later on issues and whatnot. So these are things that we have to tackle on right now and resolve, so that maybe down the road we're going to have a better, healthier, longer living life. So that were just those were just our thoughts and opinions from what we've learned. And if you guys liked it, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Be sure to join us in for our next episode on Friday. And we'll see you soon. You guys take care.